is considering creepy crawlies and wildlife in your home. So most of the problem we've got with regards to damage to the property is from wood-boring insects. We've got a little collection of these in the UK. Abroad, you've got more serious problems with ants, but particularly with termites. And the termites can very rapidly chew their way through a property, leaving it structurally unstable, and require wholesale fumigation of the property to keep them to get rid of them once you've got them. So, most wood-boring insects in the UK belong to the beetle family. Thankfully, we don't get termites. They generally lay eggs on the surface of the woods, and then the larvae hatch out eat their way into the wood. And it's very impressive considering that these things are almost completely soft except for their mouth parts, and they're still able to chew their way through a very indigestible wood in order to feed themselves to the point where they pupate and go into an adult stage and fly away. And so the damage to the timber is caused by largely by the feeding of the larvae rather than the adult. So if you're wanting to get an idea of how damaging these things can be, my father had an old minivan, and him and my mother were living on a farm, and so they had a problem with wood-boring insects in the roof timbers of this barn. And so my father used to park his car in the barn every night, and overnight the beam gave way above my father's car, and about a quarter ton of timber fell onto his minivan. And so the farmer was good enough to replace it under the insurance, but you get an idea that it can cause a catastrophic collapse if you don't keep an eye on it. Now you'll notice that quite a lot of furniture comes with little holes from wood-boring beetles in, but not with modern furniture so much. Partly because it's covered by plastic, but partly I think really because modern properties tend to suffer from damp. They're less damp in the environment in modern properties, and these creatures all generally prefer to have timber which has got more than 20% moisture content to keep them going. So how do you tell what kind of infestation you've got? Because it's quite hard, or even if you've got an infestation at all, once you've got some holes in the wood. Well, usually you can tell from the size and shape of the holes, or the texture of the dust that's produced by the boring insects, or the size and shape of the tunnels in the wood, because some of them produce their tunnels in different ways to others. But generally it's very hard to tell. The only without an expert. So the only sort of ready reckoner test you can do to work out if you've still got an infestation that's active is to smear Vaseline or similar over the holes to plug them up. And then that will just sit there, and then if one of the creatures escapes through the Vaseline and the hole reappears, then you know that you have an active infestation and you need to treat it. Whereas a lot of older furniture, when you buy it, will come into your house, it'll have little holes in it, but the infestation will have gone a long time ago. Either way, you should consider treating things. So this is there's a little collection of examples of these. This is common furniture beetle, or Anobium punctatum, what people more often refer to as woodworm, and this is quite cute looking little fellow. This produces sequences of little holes that you see, but as you get with most of these wood-boring beetles, it's very difficult to tell the difference between them unless you actually capture the beetle itself. Another one is Zestobium refuvillosum, which takes a lot of saying. And this little fella, the death watch beetle, is so called because it was believed, so if you sat on the death watch as someone was getting close to passing away, this is many years ago, then you could hear this thing tapping away in the woodwork.